Hello, I hope that you are doing great. In this video, in chapter 9, basically what we are going to do is to take all the information that we have in the routes file, and we are going to place that information in a separate Python file, because we are interested to have all the calculations in a separate file, just in order to have our routes file as clean and as efficient as possible. Okay, then let's move on. I am here, I am Visual Studio, and as usual I will run the code to see what we are going to do in this video. I open the terminal and then I go to the browser, I go here, the Carbon app, and now we have here, we introduce all the numbers in the fields and we submit it. Then we have all the calculations of the carbon emissions. But what we want to do is basically we don't want to have this in the routes file. Then if I go here to the routes file, and in the carbon app folder, I have all the calculations are inside this route, and I don't want to do that. Then basically what I'm going to do is to disclose all kind of the heavy lifting, all the calculations. We are going to create different functions for each of these calculations. Then we go here, we Control X, we cut that information. Then we go to the Carbon app functions, and here we are going to create a function that is, we are going to define that function, and it's going to be def, and we are going to name this CO2 bus calculator. This function is going to have two different inputs. One is bus type and the other is bus kilometers. And based on that information, we are going to return the CO2 bus. Okay? And inside this, basically what we want to paste is all the calculations that we have done, before we have it in the routes. Now we are going to have in this particular function. This is very efficient way of doing the things. And now we have here the right indentation, that's all. Okay, this is should work. Now we save this, and now we have to call this function inside our routes, and then we need to do two things. The first thing that we need to do is to import that function from the to have access to it in our routes file, and this is, as usual, is very easy. Is from the folder Carbon app. We have the name of the file is Carbon app functions, and we have to import CO2 bus calculator. Okay, then we have import this, and now we go inside the routes, and in the place where before we work out the carbon emissions by introducing this loop, now we are going to do this in a more efficient way, in the sense that we are going to have only one function. And then basically what we are going to do is, as an output, we want to have the CO2 bus, the same output, and now we want to have the CO. We call this function the function that we have already created, and this is going to be bus type and bus kilometers, and that's all. We save this. And now we have basically the same thing that we did before in the routes, but now we have in a more efficient way. Now if I go again to the web page, and if I go to the Carbon app web page, everything should work exactly the same. Now I have whatever numbers I introduce here. If I click the submit button, now we have exactly the same thing, but now our routes file is way more efficient because we have only the functions. And okay, this problem, this particular problem that we are solving is super easy, but in the future you will have a lot of different functions and way more elaborated than this, and then it's very nice that you know how to introduce different files for those functions and how to use it inside the routes and how to make the calculations in a different part of your application. Okay, then basically this concludes this video, in which basically what we have learned is to create a new Python file in which basically we are going to define all the functions that we are going to need to work out the carbon emissions, and then we have introduced some changes in the routes file to have access to those functions and work out the carbon emissions. And yeah, I hope that you have enjoyed, and see you in the next video.